All right. We are going to call to order the Thursday, November 20th, 2025 meeting of the Bethlehem Revitalization and Improvement Authority. And Ms. Ryder, if you could call the roll.
Ms. Taggart.
Here.
Mr. Philippos.
Here.
Mr. Andres.
Here.
Ms. Collins.
Here. I don't anticipate any public comments, so we'll move on to number 4, approval of the minutes from the August 21st, 2025 meeting.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes.
All right. Any discussion on the motion? All right. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. And none opposed, passes 3-0. We will move on to the treasurer's report. Mr. Philippos?
Yeah, we all got copies of the treasurer's report. Just to point out that the cash is currently at $932,818. Our revenue through October was $405,593. Our expenses were $375,299. The biggest expense was $360,281 going to the developers as their increment. And so far, we have net income of $30,294. So unless anyone has any questions, I submit the report as given in the board packet.
I'll just make one comment. The 360,281 is actually not increment. That's the ISRP grant that we are administering for the SGO project.
Sorry about that.
So,
Lousy treasurer.
all right.
Gonna get docked my pay.
All right. Motion for approval of the minutes or the treasurer's report?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And none opposed, passes 3-0. All right. Moving on then to new business. We have 2 funding agreements on the agenda for today. The first for the Martin Tower LVHN LLC. We do have representatives from both projects here. I think I will start just by turning over to Solicitor Andres just to give kind of set the stage for us what we're looking at in our packets.
Yes, thank you. We're at the stage for each of these projects where a funding agreement will be, it's ready, essentially an authorization to proceed to closing and actually fund the project. So I believe for the first one, we have the Martin Tower project. I think they were before you in 2023. You approved the project application at that time. The project's been approved, and now we're at the point in time where they're here to ask us to authorize the funding. So at that point in time, then there's a funding agreement, a pledge of guaranteed funding from the increment, and then typically the loan documents are executed at that time as well. So I'll have some final comments, but maybe we hear from the project applicant first. Counsel.
Thank you. Seth Tipton from Florio Perucci here on behalf of both applicants, MTLVHN 40 and MTLVHN 60. And I have my client is one of the principals, Lou Ronca, here too, in case you have any questions. As Mr. Andy, first of all, thank you to Laura and Ed. We negotiated these documents and got them pretty far along before this meeting, so I do appreciate their time in helping us get it that far. We now have, I think, almost final documents subject to your approval. The total loan size here is $2 million. We will be or have reported increment from 2025 or 2024, I'm sorry, that we hope to apply to the loan at the outset. The project here was 2 medical office buildings, 40,000 square foot and a 60,000 square foot, hence the 40 and 60 in the names of the applicants. And we're one of the questions, we've added several hundred jobs already to the former Mountain Tower site. So it's been a success. And we're basically just using the $2 million to offset the cost of construction to date. I'll take any questions, but this is otherwise sort of a traditional CRIS loan in that regard.
The amount of $2 million is less than what you were previously approved for. Is there a possibility of a further request to the authority?
Yeah, one of the challenges that we had on this particular one is we've given our good faith estimate of what we believe the CRIS increment will be in the future, but to date we really don't know, because what we've learned over the course of doing a lot of these projects is the construction phase can be very different from when a project's actually stabilized and what it produces, because the construction increment is very easy to measure, whereas the sort of stabilized operations are more difficult to measure because it involves individual employees, how much they're paid and what they're remitting to the state and things like that. So we've put $2 million here as the loan amount because we felt like it was a very safe target. It was conservative. But we do anticipate, if we are successful and the increment ends up being, once stabilized, higher, we would seek approval from this authority to refinance and potentially increase the size of the loan. Because of the amount of equity that was put in the project, the total CRIZ amount that would be eligible here, which we've agreed to with DCED and the assistance of Ed and Laura, is up to a little over $12 million.
And
So-
as a reminder, the reason we were engaging so much with the Commonwealth on this one is because the project also has RCAP. So we had to kind of work through how those two, work together, because they had been awarded the RCAP before the CRIZ was authorized, which made for that unique situation.
So essentially, I think it's fair to summarize it. The matching funds for the RCAP are not the same dollars, so to speak, even though money's fungible, for with respect to the private match, the 5-to-1 match for the CRIZ dollars and the other private and other. So if it was like a $50 million off the top of my head project, there's enough dollars there to have the CRIZ portion with the match, as well as the RCAP that has the 50% match as well.
Yeah.
Although they were, like he said, it was up to 12 million or thereabouts, I think they have an incentive not to ask for a bigger CRIZ loan than is necessary. And your board has the same reason. You don't want a bigger CRIZ loan that's necessary, but we don't want to surprise you if they do come back and ask for an additional amount. That's why we wanted to mention it.
Yeah, that's correct. And thank you, Ed. I appreciate that is exactly right. And we with the assistance of this authority and the Commonwealth, we did enter into a term sheet with the Commonwealth, basically memorializing the way that we would calculate the interaction between the RACP and the CRIZ funding and the private equity match for both. So that is going to be attached to our funding agreement to sort of memorialize that.
There's no other questions. I'll just, so what's before you is Resolution 2025-7 that's been authorizes the next stage so that the authority can execute the funding agreement as well as the guarantee of funding agreement with the lender in the amount of $2 million. Those dockets, I can advise that those documents are mostly in substantial form. I think I got another draft of the guarantee today that I didn't look at yet, but we're pretty close. So with those documents are pretty close, which would allow them to close with this year. And then, as council indicates, there was some increment generated last year that would allow them to capture.
Okay.
Any questions about the resolution?
Do not.
All right. In that case, I will make a motion to pass Resolution 2025-07.
I'll second that.
Okay. And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
We'll move on then to agenda item 6.2, which is the second funding agreement. And that's for Bethlehem Tempo LLC for the High Hotels project. That is quite familiar to everyone. We saw that one earlier this year for approval and submission to the Commonwealth. We did get Commonwealth approval for both the certification of the parcel and the project itself. So I don't know if Mr. Andres has also
that's
been
it.
working with council on this agreement. If there's anything else you wanted to add on here on this one.
No, this is, and I'll let him the applicant speak, but I mean, this is similar stage of the process that allows the funding agreement to be executed, and the guarantee of funding. This project a little bit different. That it's my understanding that they're going to be some of the cost of acquisition will be used for these proceeds, and that's in the resolution as well. So if you take a look at the resolution, and then we'll hear from the applicant. this project, the construction has not started, so they're asking for the CRIZ loan to reimburse the company for the cost to acquire the property location, and then pay various other expenses and furnishings with the further development of the project.
That's largely correct. So the plan is now within the structure to utilize the first draw of the CRIZ loan to pay and or reimburse ourselves for the cost of the land acquisition, and then largely to fund FF&E, furniture, fixtures, and equipment at a later date when those items are purchased.
Is there anything else you
No,
want to share about the project?
I'm
or
happy
the-
to answer.
Timing wise, so when you were here,
Yep.
any updates since last time as
Yeah.
far as the timing of the project and what your
Yes.
hopes are, so what the authority members could hear?
Yep. So I think we shared this with Laura, but over the past several months, we've largely been working through value engineering following our August pricing meeting. Certain change to scope materials. It's I would say 99% the same project that you've seen in the past, just slightly different materials with respect to the facade on the porte-cochere, et cetera. So that was a result of our initial construction pricing coming in significantly higher than we were anticipating up to that point. So every indication is now we're speaking with our construction folks every day here that we're on target right now. So our next pricing meeting, which is following the 90% submission of the construction documents, is on December 1st. So here in a couple weeks, we have a board meeting following that will authorize us to close on the land. So assuming all goes well in the pricing meeting, that's really the last shoe to drop for us to be able to close on this. In terms of on the financing side, I've been largely out of the loop on with the CRIZ lenders. I've largely been handling the construction loan. So I would say we have 2 term sheets for that now. I think we're going to pick a horse on that by tomorrow. So favorable results on that. We have a group that's very interested in the project, local lender that we have a relationship with. And then on the CRIZ side, also working with 2 groups right now that I'd say would likely going to sign a term sheet for the CRIZ piece in the next week or 2. So the cadence of it is right now, fingers crossed, construction pricing meeting goes well on the 1st. We will advance loan docs on the CRIZ piece sooner than the construction documents, just because we'll be utilizing those funds to close on the land, which we should be able to do pretty quickly. And after that, we're targeting a closing date prior to the holidays. Call it week of the December 15th, if we can. But I don't see it pushing out past February. Call it if there are some things that need to be cleaned up in the meantime.
The loan amount that's on the resolution is $7,250,000. That's a new amount that slightly more than at the time of application, which is permissive. But if you remember, if you look at the other documents, that's one thing that's increased. We tweaked this resolution a little bit to say that, so it does say a bank lender to be selected by the company. That's because they're still considering various term sheets. And also that the loan terms in the bank have to be reasonably acceptable to the authority. So when they do that, typically at this, before we would come to a funding agreement, the applicant would typically share the funding, the term sheets with the authority. So you don't have that yet. So we've kept that a little bit flexible due to their timing. So if they're looking to close mid-December, we didn't want to push back this funding agreement to a December meeting, just so things can move forward. But as always, the authority chairperson is authorized to sign only upon her approval of the documents, as well as my approval of the documents.
You'll see them.
Yes.
Yes, correct.
Yes.
So if there's anything that's out of the ordinary, then it's obviously
Right.
we can reasonably bring it back to you.
And assuming closing December to February, given winter, when would you actually start on the project?
Yeah, so the intention is for the building's existing structure to come down immediately. So we will, once we have a better understanding following our pricing meeting, we'll submit demolition permits and mobilize our construction group to start that work pretty much immediately. But yeah, I mean, you're right. Winter conditions, we're going to get in the ground, start early foundations as soon as we can. The target is to open now by September, end of September 2027. So give or take 18 to 20 month construction timeline, and assuming that site work and demolition as well. So that's our target. Right now, obviously, things happen, gets cold out. There's delays, but that's the target right now.
Mhm. Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion from the board?
No.
Okay.
So again, the resolution authorizes the chairperson to execute the closing documents, which would be the funding agreement and the guarantee of funding agreement, the pledge of the increment specifically, upon her review of both the loan terms and as well as the underlying loan document, the CRIS loan document.
Okay. I'll make a motion. We accept it subject to the approval of those documents.
All right. Motion as second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you
I'll
very
give you the
much.
term sheets as soon as I have
All
them.
right. Thank you.
Thanks.
And while you're in town, that we're doing the Walnut Street Garage opening at 4:00 today. Yeah, I believe I think High Construction was a part of the project. Yeah.
High concrete. One of them. One of the highs.
All right. Moving on then to new business, we do have item 7.1, unrestricted funds disbursements, House and Ambassadors. We have a request from BEDCO, Bethlehem Economic Development Corporation. Sean Ziller is here to present the request as needed. So we have, as the authority, we have kind of two buckets of funds for us to use. We have the increment split that we retain from the increment that is generated by projects. We distribute the percentage to the project. We maintain the 5% admin, and then the additional for us. How we spend those funds is restricted by statute. We've traditionally used them for things like paying down the debt for the parking authority. You probably remember. We also have another bucket of funds that come from the fees that we charge for various projects. We generate around $50,000 annually, give or take, depending on what kind of projects we have coming through and what kind of work. So we do have that bucket of funds unrestricted that we haven't actually touched since we've started. And it is not restricted in the same way that the other funds are by like the statutory purposes. So Sean can talk a little bit about his request, but actually I'll let Sean talk about his request.
Sure. So, good afternoon. So, as Laura had pointed out, we're here to make a request of that unrestricted funds. I'm sure most of you know, but just as background, since its launch in 2014, the Southside Ambassadors Program, an initiative of BEDCO, has provided essential cleaning, safety, and hospitality services throughout South Bethlehem. These efforts have significantly improved the cleanliness and overall appearance of this downtown, reinforcing its vibrancy and appeal as a hub for arts and culture. I think these are all things you probably well know as folks who live and work in the community. Our team of 6 ambassadors plays a vital role in welcoming residents, visitors, and students and faculty from Lehigh. BEDCO is submitting this request in response to ongoing funding instability caused by budget constraints among our current partners. At the same time, program costs for the initiative continue to rise. Just to put it into perspective, this next cycle is the first year that we'll start to crest $400,000 in program costs for the ambassadors program. To offset that, or to manage these increases, we've worked closely with Block by Block, which is essentially the facilitator or parent company of the ambassadors, to identify cost-saving measures that do not compromise team capacity or effectiveness. Additionally, we're actively pursuing new partnerships, including with nearby developers and property owners, to support the program. And you'll see here, put in front of you and kind of quickly thrown together by Alex Miller from our team. Here is a map showing the CRIS overlay, which are the active CRIS parcels in blue, and then the ambassador's footprint by and large in that yellow footprint there. So in terms of our request, would be a requested contribution of $85,000 from Bria for the ambassadors. If approved, this would sustain the program through the initial months of October, November, and December. We're already in November of the new block by block contract cycle. For most of our funders, their funding agreements don't begin until the first of the following year, so January. And our block by block contract actually starts in October. So there's typically a kind of, I'll say, weird 3-month time frame in which we really have to think strategically about, do we have the funding in place to support the ambassadors? Through our recent contributions from new contributions from the Bethlehem Parking Authority, for instance, we've been able to hire a new individual. My hope is in the next few years, we'll actually be able to build up a bit of a surplus for the program so we can continue to expand its services. So that would be the request for the authority today.
Can you repeat that? Was it 85,000?
85,000, correct.
And it's for these 3 months now?
That's correct.
Okay.
It's essentially a grant.
Yeah,
Right.
I get that.
Right.
And did you say there has been reduced funding in the program?
The partners that have been engaged are still engaged. I think just
Level?
not at the same level, right? I think just due to, as we know, everything. The budgets are a bit constricted, so we're trying to make up for that, diversify, and build up some committed partners to the program.
I'll be a little more plain. Lehigh is reducing its
Well, that's
contribution.
what I was getting at.
Yeah.
I've wondered about that
Yeah.
because I'm part of Southside Arts District,
Yeah.
and I heard that we didn't know, and now I figured, well, maybe now we know.
Yeah.
So, okay, so we have this gap to fill.
Correct.
How much was the funding reduction from Lehigh?
About 35%.
Which equates to what,
It would be
roughly?
yeah. So they essentially for this cycle it'll be 190,000 that they'll be contributing to the program.
Okay.
And I can certainly run through the rest of the funding as well.
No, that's fine.
Well, I'm a really strong supporter of this program, and
No, you are.
want to see it continue. I also do want to see us pick up new partners for that. So
absolutely.
Hopefully, our strategic planning in the next year or so will help us with that. But I have no problem filling in the gap here with funds for now.
I think the map, is helpful. It's obviously not a complete overlay of the districts, but I do think, in terms of revitalizing the South Side, the ambassadors have played a very large role, particularly in this core corridor here.
I think it's 10 years they're in place. 10.
I think
Since 2014. So yeah. 11.
Just a feto comments. Laura mentioned with regard, and the agenda says unrestricted funds disbursement. So she's correct in that the CRIS projects that generate the revenue, the businesses then submit the stuff to the state. The state then sends us the increment, and then you typically, pursuant to the funding agreements that we just referenced, will distribute to the, after keeping admin, you distribute to the applicants and borrowers their percentage, and then you have a portion that you retain as your percentage. Those funds have to get spent each year. If you don't spend it by the end of the year, it goes back to the state. The other funds that you have, you are a municipal authority, and economic development is one of your goals and objectives. So it's not just limited to the CRIS projects themselves. just as as a municipal authority, when you have projects that come in front of you, you collect fees. So the developer fees that'll be paid at closing for the Mountain Tower, that will go into this unrestricted fund balance. So that's kind of where like the economic dollars cycle around. So those unrestricted funds you can use for purposes that are consistent with your purpose. So with regard to economic development, those dollars can be used for grants, loans, expenditures of anything permitted by the Municipal Authorities Act.
And
That's what,
so do we see that? So, because you had said we haven't touched this since the beginning, like
I
what
don't
is
believe we have.
in the fund? Is
It's-
that,
It's currently the balance is $283,000.
okay.
so when the Martin Tower project, just so I'll use them as an example because they're here. So if they close before the end of the month, they're going to pay a developer fee consistent with your fee schedule, and that'll go into your general operating expenses. That's not a portion of the funds that then get distributed each year. So
And is this also the same pot? I think it was before you are, we talked about some revolving loan fund for businesses that I don't recall ever.
that's, I
really
think if
happening.
I'm
Would that be
correct,
the
that's a little
same fund?
different. I
Anyway,
think
we actually, we used our increments, but
Increment for
yes.
that.
And that was a use that was authorized under the statute.
Right, so that disbursement happened during the calendar year before it expired into the revolving
Right.
fund. Even if the revolving loans haven't come out of the
Now,
loan,
right, but it's-
that fund has been established
Okay.
within the time.
Yeah, that's right. I remember when we passed it, it had to go because we lost it.
So there'll probably still be the need, I don't want to jump ahead to like next meeting dates, et cetera. So
Yeah.
the allocation of the increment for this year, you'll have to take action again just one more time before right. So this is different though.
No, I'm fine with this request.
As am I. So I make a motion that we accept.
I think we have we have a revolution.
Do we have one?
We do.
Last one, 25.
Oh,
I make a motion, we accept resolution 2025-9.
so I'll second that.
All right. Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Andres, anything else to report under the solicitor's report?
The only other project that still hasn't closed yet, but I expect they're going to be again closing soon, is the 610 flat. So I think at the August meeting, they were here and you gave approval for that funding agreement to include the 2 additional new tenants, and it went up from a number that was approximately 400-some thousand to 2.3 million. Those documents have also been circulated recently, and I think we're close to those funding documents being almost ready. So I would expect that'll be closing soon, and I'll be coordinated with Laura for signatures. One of the things that's out there, and I'll say it with regard to the Martin Tower one, is that the lender, when it's not a traditional lender, that the lenders have been created to kind of facilitate this. So the Lehigh Financial that's mentioned in the Martin Tower thing is a lender. They may have other things, but one of their primary purposes appears to be the funding source for the reimbursement of their capital expenditures, their project expenditures, and then to reimburse for the CRIZ increment. So that's Works One for the 610 flats is a similar thing. So those documents have been a little bit more work because we're trying to make sure that the authorities' interests are protected, that it's accurate, reflects the economics of the transaction. So that's why. So when you see Lehigh Financial, I'll see that's right. It's not such and such bank or whatever.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for all of your work on this.
Yeah,
My
seriously,
pleasure.
sounds like you've been busy.
Yeah. All right.
Exciting though.
It is.
Right?
I will move on then just quickly to the chairperson's report. We do actually have our letter from the Commonwealth, our certification for this year. So as Mr. Andre said, we will have to come back in December to do our distribution. But this is our certification for 2024. You'll see that the total state transfer of increment, it's listed here on the first page, $2,052,067.07. If you flip over to the second page that's broken out there in the bottom half, you'll see the certification includes about 1.46 million. And that's 16 businesses that are considered under Act 13 new businesses. The next component is the 120,296. That's 20 businesses, increment increase over the established baseline. And then the third is 69 construction contractors, $473,319 for that total of 2 million, roughly 2 million. As compared to last year, to the 2023 increment that we were reviewing in this time in last year in 2024, that was about 1.7 million. So we did jump up again this year. I would say that's in part attributed to the construction activity at Martin Tower. And then we also have ongoing operations now at all of our other projects, which have been pretty consistent. So what we're doing now on our end is, we're matching the business filings with, each of the respective projects to make sure that we've got the distribution correct. Once we're comfortable with that internally, the money will go out per the funding agreements to the developers, to each of the projects. And then we will come back here and we'll just have to take action on the admin dollars and the remaining restricted dollars that are part of the Bria split. I'll also point out on the last page here, this is the first time I believe in our history, we have 111 out of 111 businesses reporting. So
Yay.
every business reported, I think, for the first time, which is very impressive.
If they don't report timely, who fines them? Or they get fined?
They do get fined. I think it's $1,000.
But who's
the-
responsible? The Commonwealth?
The Commonwealth
Okay.
is, yeah. And they hadn't always done that, but I think they started maybe like a year or two ago, which probably
Got 100%
contributed to that. Yeah. So that's all I have for my report. So in our next meeting, were there any questions?
No.
So then our next meeting date is December 4th. You won't be here.
Puerto Rico.
Oh, that's right. Right. The sister cities visit.
Yep.
All right. We can have Denise check with everyone. For either, we'll have to meet for either the first or the second meeting.
Yeah.
I could make
For the December 4th.
December 4th. I could do.
Is the other one the 18th? Is that the date?
Yes.
Let's see, I guess.
I was going to say,
Gotta distribute the money.
right.
All right. Anyone like to motion us to adjourn?
I don't know. I thought we'd wait till 5. Make it the longest meeting in a while.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we close the meeting.
All right. So the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Right.
Actually, I'm going
There's
to
a
run
lot of
over.
talking on your